What's up, guys? Jaggy here, and I've got another different kind of video. I want to expand my content a little bit. I don't want it to be just purely reactions because this one will be kind of another reaction, but it'll be a reaction specifically to an episode of Wombles Had a Dream podcast, the very last episode before the next one's gonna come out tomorrow, most likely. And within this episode, specifically episode number 72, entitled Potential, Danny and Lee do this segment called Unpopular Opinions. Now, unpopular opinions are not uncommon in the world of sport. If you guys are familiar with ESPN analyst Stephen A. Smith, I know most of you probably don't know who he is or don't follow ESPN because it's an American sports channel. But Stephen A. Smith is the king of unpopular opinions and hot takes, if you will.
I'm going with the Cavs.
The Golden State Warriors are the 2015 NBA champions.
I'm picking the San Antonio Spurs to win this series.
It's back-to-back titles for the Heat.
King James to show that he's got some Jordan-esque skills.
And Antonio is back on top once again.
Like, basically a hot take in British terms and layman's terms is just a poor shout. Like Josh Davison is just Sam Cosgrove with a man bun. I know Lee said that about a fan saying that at a game earlier this season. But anyway, I don't think it's that they're going to make opinions that are that egregious, but I'm still interested to know what these two gentlemen have to say. So let's get right into it.
I've got one straight off the bat, but we'll go with yours first.
So basically, I was chatting to some lads at work about...
I'm really interested to hear Lee's takes, actually. 90% of the time, people are like, yeah, brilliant, you're bang on. The other 10% of the time, they're like, what the hell are you talking about? Danny, it's like 50-50. Half of the things he say, people are like, okay, I can get on board with that. The other half, they're maybe not as much like, what the hell are you talking about? They're like, I don't know if I agree with that.
Alfie Bendle, as much as I love him, I think he will be a star.
Yep.
Currently overrated.
Okay.
Because he's not getting in
maybe a little bit.
I wouldn't even have him above Paris at the moment.
Yeah.
And people go on like this kid is going to be a world beater, which hopefully will be. But at this time, at this moment, I'd send him on loan, and I think he's overrated for the minutes he's had.
I've been on record saying that Alfie Bendle is
I think people are going
to be a good player
with how good he is at this time.
But I don't think he's like this world beater.
Send him out on loan, Julie?
Probably one below conference. Or conference
you think conference or conference south?
If we could send him to, say, a Maidenhead, a Barnet, he's not...
I found it interesting that he played over Alex Woodyard in the FA Cup game, but I found it not unsurprising because Alex Woodyard coming off of a couple of performances, playing on a Tuesday, then on a Saturday, giving him a little bit of rest and putting Alfie Bendle in. Of course, we had a couple other substitutions, like Ogundere started, Broom started, just to give a couple of our other players some rest. And I'm sure Johnny Jackson thought maybe, okay, we played like shit in the first time out, and this is a Division 6 side. We should be dispatching of them. Fair play to Weymouth. They fought their hearts out. Their away support was fantastic, and up until that first goal that we scored in the second game, from all of the time they played before that, including in the first leg, they were punching above their weight for sure. But I digress a little bit on that one.
What's more important, playing at a better standard or just getting 90 minutes? Because the casuals, I'm sure, would take him in a heartbeat again.
For the long term, if we're going to keep Alfie Bendle,
he did well at that level. So
send him on loan and have him come back.
Below where he's playing against the
he's going to be a good long-term option for us.
Even maybe
what I would say is I think he's got a huge amount of potential, but that is the worst word in the whole planet. I tell all the kids all the time.
Why are you saying that? Because you hate the word.
I can't stand the word.
You say it a lot,
potential.
though.
I know, but it's a shambles.
But you say it a lot, so that's an unpopular opinion.
Well, it's an unpopular opinion of mine, or it could be a popular opinion depending on your
Every now and again, Lee. Every now and again, Lee likes to catch Danny off guard. I find that kind of funny actually, because there's a little bit of friendly banter back and forth between them. I know they probably agree on half of the things, disagree on half of the things. But when they do disagree, it's typically when Lee's like, "Wait, what? Wait, you're going back on something you said before."
Josh Davison is no more than a League Two striker. Agree or disagree? Or do you want me to give you some context?
I disagree.
I disagree.
Okay.
I have to disagree.
Well, from what I've seen of Josh Davison, I think he has been a good League Two striker. I think he's led the line.
Low end League One.
There's no doubt of his work ethic, but there have been games where he's been totally dominated, and there have been games.
Pause. There are a few League One strikers out there that you can say the same about. At least last season, I can think of a couple. In the Sunderland game, the second time around, fair play, Stewart is a fantastic striker. But I, from what I remember, we did keep him quiet in that one. And there were a few other times around where we played against a team that we thought that the striker was going to do more, and we kept him at bay. I mean, granted, defensively we were shambles last season in certain games. There would be one game where we defended well, and then the next game, like Cheltenham, both the Cheltenham fixtures actually. The Cheltenham away one, I remember Nightingale got beat over the top like 2 occasions. Or that was the Cheltenham home game. The away game, we gave away a couple of scrappy goals. Fleetwood away, that was the game where pretty much relegation was confirmed. Now, in regards to Davison, you can argue that he doesn't have the best history in League One. Well, he's only played 2 seasons in League One. One of them in which he didn't actually get any game time, 2020 to 2021 specifically. And then the next season, he scored 2 goals in 9 starts and 15 total appearances. You could argue that he wasn't League One quality as of before. But now I feel like he's starting to work his way up. You know, the end of last season when he played for Swindon, he really started to pick up the pace. Granted, that wasn't League Two. He has been playing... He started out the season somewhat inconsistently, but in the last, 5-6 games, he's been on it. He's been on form. Not the most consistent player in the world, but he's not woefully inconsistent to where he's not dependable in League One as things stand. That's where I see things. I mean, he's decent in the air. He's not, he doesn't win every single header, but he's decent in the air. He's got good finishing, in my opinion, aside from maybe 1 or 2 instances in previous games where he hit it straight at the keeper or something like that. But there are a couple of finishes he had, like bottom right-hand corner with his weak foot a few games ago, and then he's a decent finisher. He's not world class, but I think he's just good enough to be in League One as things stand.
And he is a good striker at this level, but I still feel that he is on par with them. If you've got the 24 best strikers in the league, I don't know if he's quite in that, but more importantly, I think if you've got every single team's best striker, I think he's smack bang in the middle. Right. And I think that he's got room to grow. I'm not going to say the word because I'm sick of you saying it.
But he's got potential, hasn't he?
Shut up.
Right, but I've got one for you then. I heard this.
Hold on.
I'll backtrack a little bit. Maybe he's not League One caliber this season, but I think next season he will be there. I think he's just on the cusp of being League One quality. But, me being on the optimistic, positive side, I'll say that he is already League One quality. Now, there are a few strikers that you could argue that are better than Josh Davison in this league. Andy Cook or Josh Gordon. But that's a good question, actually. Do you think Josh Davison is League One quality? I think just on the cusp, but I'll err on the side of yes, he is League One quality.
Agreeing or disagreeing?
Disagreeing. I've got one for you.
And you think he's League One?
I think he could step up to League One. He's only young. I think if he has a partner next to him who's decent. I've got one for you then.
Well, that's exactly the point I'm making.
No, with regard to Josh Davison, right, yeah, but if he's got a partner, he'll be a League One striker then, because I reckon he'll score the goals. But I've got one different choice. So we'll go Josh Davison, Lyle Taylor, Joe Pigott.
Yeah.
Bench, sell, start.
Start Lyle Taylor.
Yep.
Sell Davison.
I would agree.
Right. Bench Pigott.
I would agree.
Fine. No, I'm not wrong.
100%.
Pigott.
You can't sell Pigott.
What?
You bench Davison.
What?
And you start Lyle Taylor.
What?
So you're basically saying that you're selling Pigott.
What?
You can get some dosh for him.
Okay, good money,
No,
to be fair.
I think Josh Davison's a better striker than Joe Pigott.
What?
Joe Pigott has scored.
No way. Okay, I don't think it's a horrible shout. I'm just surprised. I really am surprised. I really thought that Lee would hold Pigott in a higher regard. Maybe Pigott's not in good form right now, considering that, he didn't really play much for Ipswich, and then Pigott... Okay, so he's playing for Portsmouth on loan, only 3 starts in 13... only 3 starts, 13 matches total, 1 goal in the season. Last season for Ipswich, only 1 goal in 10 starts and 22 total appearances. Now that I think about it, if you're talking about currently, I think Josh Davison certainly is trending upward more so than someone like Joe Pigott. But, I mean, Joe Pigott was monumental for us. And I think Joe Pigott would totally shine in League Two. And just like Davison, I mean, if you were to give Davison and Pigott maybe 2 or 3 seasons with AFC Wimbledon as things stand, I think Davison maybe currently would be better, but then Pigott would surpass him.
Not a League One striker.
He's got 2 seasons. He's got 15 plus in a team.
So that's my unpopular opinion.
Okay.
Joe Pigott was overrated and
Okay.
was good, and I'd have Josh Davison over.
When I think about it now, it's not as controversial as I first initially heard it, right? Selling Joe Pigott maybe would have a decent price tag, maybe wouldn't. You know what? I laughed it off at first, but he might be right. Lee might be right, actually. 100% start Lautel, right? That's no question about it. Sell Davison now. When I was thinking about selling, I really wasn't actually thinking too hard about profit and about whether or not the player is worth the value. If we sell Davison now, he might pop off in another League Two club, and he'll be worth more, and that club will sell Davison to a League One club perhaps. Yeah, wow, I actually agree with Lee.
He's good. Okay, this is one that annoys me, and unfortunately, it might rattle a few feathers.
From now on, I'm going to think first before
ready?
Making an opinion.
We are not Wimbledon. We as a club, Wimbledon as it was, the identity of the club, etc., was Wimbledon, and we're not that club anymore. We're not the crazy gang. We're not jumping in front of cars and doing weird stuff. We're not cutting people's tyres on Sky. We're not the team that would battle 24 hours, and this is what the Wimbledon way and a budget on that.
Being whether we are or we aren't the old Wimbledon, I agree that we don't resemble the old Wimbledon as much anymore, but it doesn't really matter all that much anymore because we got to adapt with the modern times, right? It doesn't really matter too much whether or not we are where we resemble the crazy gang or that the fans resemble that of the crazy gang, if you know what I mean. I mean, I would have to agree with him in that sense.
I've got one for you, unpopular opinion.
Wait a minute.
Short corners.
Oh, God, here we go.
Can be decent. They can be decent if you use them right.
If used correctly.
Right, short corners can lead to goals.
I think factually you're correct, 100%. But what I would say, and again another thing on Tuesday, Chislit's deliveries were superb on Tuesday.
I will say about short corners, at the very least they'll bring one defender out. That is one less defender that could possibly get ahead on a clearance or anything like that. With the short corner, you'll take one person out of commission. Now, if you look at it in a more footballing oriented sense, well, you'll be a little bit closer to goal, so that way there will, it won't be as difficult to deliver a good ball because you'll be closer. Granted, there won't be as much pace on the cross, right? If you were to take it from further away, you'd have to put more pace to get it into a certain area. And the more pace that there is in a ball, the easier it is to redirect a header to where you want it to go with pace. That is something you could argue against short corners. However, with short corners, it can allow a player who beats his man, like let's say he goes one way, then fakes one way and goes the other and beats his man. It'll give less time for the defender who's marking that player to get back and recover. Granted, that's if there's the same amount of pace being put on the ball on a short corner versus a regular corner. But it can also just kind of dumbfound the other team, like they get caught off guard with the short corner, especially if you do a Liverpool v Barcelona Champions League type corner, which I don't think very many teams fall for anymore. But you never know.
Pep Guardiola's type of football, does not work in the lower leagues. And people have got to stop pretending that League Two footballers can pass the ball around and pretend that they're like Haaland or Kevin De Bruyne. You play in League Two, play what we play like we saw against Orient, long ball football, play to your strengths. it's got boring to watch football. Football's got boring because everyone sees tippy-tappy football thinking, oh, it's going to be beautiful. I just want to see goals. I want to see people kicking the shit out of each other like I did on Tuesday night.
Not only are they not good enough at passing it, but the pitches don't lend themselves to it. I feel also the fitness.
I would have to agree partially and say that kind of football can work in certain scenarios. I think it's really contingent upon several factors. The pitch quality, right? The opposition that you're going up against. If you have, players in the opposition that are always going to get stuck into challenges, it'll be a bit of a scrap and it'll be a bit difficult to play around them. If you have a team that aren't good and they aren't super physically strong, but are also not as good defensively too, ticky-tack football can work. It's really contingent upon the opposition and the quality of the pitch. If you were to play that against a team like Harrogate, who gets stuck into challenges, who are very hard-nosed, I mean, we saw it, right? That game against Harrogate, we really didn't have much for them, and we tried to play that sideways ticky-tack passing. If we have players that have, that are quality on the ball, if we have a team like, Man City, then yeah, they'd run rings around Harrogate, but
they decided to do something that Man City don't do, and I feel like if you're going to beat Man City, you can't beat them.
However, I will agree that sometimes, every now and again, actually I won't say sometimes, but every now and again, a top flight club will struggle against a lower, like a League 1 or League 2 side. Because it's just a culture shock, right? It's a complete culture shock. League 1 and League 2 sides typically play a little bit, they're a little more scrappy. They're not as good on the ball, but they play more long balls than, those top flight clubs are used to. And maybe they are just a bit heavier in challenges, right? More often than not, the top flight club will find a way because they're just, the quality is just too much, right? They will find a way to win those games, but it's not always a cakewalk. And we saw that with AFC Wimbledon against Weymouth. Not always a cakewalk. I forgot about a third factor, and that is whether your team even has the players that could be able to possess without losing possession frequently, like, say, an Alex Pearce. Or at times an Alex Woodyard. That's a third factor as to whether or not that kind of football will work, right? I gave, what was that player's name for Salford, who just kept knocking the ball forward every single time he had possession? I forget. Yeah, it was Elliot Watt. He was like their center mid, holding mid kind of guy, but he would drop back a lot to their back three, almost to the back three to receive possession, and then just lump it forward to Dackers or Bolton or something. But we defended pretty well for the most part. We defended resolutely, but against other teams that may struggle in that regard, Hartlepool or Colchester, they'll have a hard time dealing with those long balls forward. It can work, right? It can work. Because typically those back three, the players in the back three or the back four have a lot more of a difficult time dealing with those balls over the top. I would like to reference the game that I attended, actually, Crawley versus Bristol Rovers. If you guys want to check it out, I did make a vlog on that last season. Crawley lost to Bristol Rovers 2-1, but early on they had several chances. They played a couple balls over the top, and their center backs, one in particular, I forget his name, had a really hard time dealing with those balls over the top. And I saw it firsthand. League 2 football, a lot more direct. And that goes hand in hand with that second point that I made about depending on the opposition, right? If the opposition have a hard time dealing with through balls, or if they get caught out of position, well, there you go.
I've got four more, and I'm going to stop. Number one, we have no League 1 standard defenders.
Disagree.
Go on.
Jack Curry.
You reckon he could start?
Not now, but he will be in a season or two.
Yeah,
actually,
team as well.
I think Jack Curry is more of a League 1 established player than Josh Davison. I kind of went back a little bit on my argument with Josh Davison, saying that maybe he's not quite. I would err on the side that he is, but he's on the cusp of League 2 and League 1. Jack Curry, I think he's good enough currently to play for, To play for a team like Fleetwood or Morecambe, maybe like a low-end League One team right now. I'm more firmly established on that than I would say Josh Davison. Give him 2-3 more seasons, he will be a quality League One player knocking on the door for the championship. I'm going to say that right now. I've been impressed with Jack Curry from the off, from minute one of watching him. And I have very high expectations. I haven't said this about any particular player since, I've said good things about Assal, but Assal has a lot to work on in terms of releasing the ball and also mentally maturing. Since Jack Rodoni. I gave Jack Rodoni so much praise. I don't know, for all of you that have subscribed to me since like a season ago or 2 seasons ago. Other than that, we don't have another League One quality defender.
Backs are in League One, to be fair, but what I've seen from Jack Curry, if he goes into a team that...
Alex Pearce, 4 or 5 seasons ago, yes. Alex Pearce of now, decent for League One or League Two. Needs to work on his ball playing skills, but maybe not quite League One caliber anymore.
I think what we were talking about there about the passing game, I think if he went into a team that can pass it around, I think he'd suit it. There is some stuff he needs to learn.
100%.
But he has got the potential.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Potential.
I think Jack...
I'm going to talk like that.
Other than defenders, I think Pearce, no, not anymore. Gunter,
not anymore. Not anymore.
Paul Cannonball, nowhere near it.
No.
Will Nightingale, nowhere near it.
Agreed.
Who else we got?
All of
back?
that. Spot on.
We talking loan players?
I'm including Taylor.
Taylor's League One. 100%.
Okay. No,
decent.
Interesting.
Decent, to be fair.
Taylor could play defensive midfield in League One as well, I think.
Oh, defensive midfielder.
Wow.
But I'd have Jack Curry.
He's on the cusp as well, I feel, Taylor.
Taylor?
You'd have Taylor. Would you have Joker or Pearce?
Joker.
Okay. All right. Well, these are my 3 more.
Joker.
And I'll leave it alone.
I'd say Joker.
And this is quite a bold one.
He was definitely
After
underappreciated
Cup,
during his time at
Chris
AFC
Gunter has to be
Wimbledon.
dropped for Isaac Ogundere.
No.
I'm sorry, I missed that. I missed that question.
And this is quite a bold one. After the World Cup, Chris Gunter has to be dropped for Isaac Ogundere.
No.
And do you want to hear my theory?
That is bold.
Yeah, it's wrong, but yeah, go on.
Well, it's absolutely
No.
right.
As things stand, no. But I think he has the capability, Ogundere. Maybe not in the near future. I think he still has... I think he has more to work on defensively than Curry, I feel. But I think maybe towards the latter half of the season, maybe 10 to 15 games to go, you could maybe see him surpass Gunter. I don't think it's super likely. I do think it's in the cards. But no, I would have to disagree. Ogundere over Gunter. I would also have to disagree. He had a good game out against Salford as well. A little bit spotty at times when it comes to his performances. And every now and again, he can get caught out. He can get beaten for pace by, someone like a Smith, Paul Smith for Leyton Orient. But I think he's been defending well these last couple games. Even against Smith, he got beat for pace maybe twice, but he didn't defend poorly by any means. No, still Gunter over Ogundere.
Been good enough. The way that our club is set up, Ogundere, if there's not much difference between the two of them, we have to give the younger lad a chance to run from now until the summer. The fact that...
Why?
Why? Because he's not going to learn and be better by watching Chris Gunter play. He's going to learn by playing and having Chris Gunter giving him advice.
Well, yeah, we can bring him on as a sub, right?
No, that's all right.
Every now and again.
Chris Gunter, there's absolutely no chance, in my opinion, 0 chance of him being with us next year. In fact, I think he could even retire at the end of the year. On the fact that he wants to get to a World Cup, he's done it. There's nothing else left for him. He's Welsh. Why on earth would you want to be at Wimbledon? And I just feel like...
But the club needs to focus on their best interests with what they currently have now. Whether Gunter is going to retire next season or even if he doesn't retire, if he's going to be with AFC Wimbledon, I don't think has a huge factor as to whether we should drop him for Ogundere. That's like saying we should drop Marcus Force because he was on loan, or just any loan player just because they're on loan, right? Oh, they're not going to be with us next season, so we got to play the players that'll start. And I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching a little bit with that comparison. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but use Gunter while you have him. Got the experience. Well, if I'm using experience as an argument, I'd be a little hypocritical because, Darius Charles had the experience, but he's merely just a talking head. Yeah, Gunter, I think, still is overall a better outside back, a better option than someone like Ogundere as things stand.
Wimbledon's main mindset is to get players ready for League Two football, league football, and Ogundere. We should say thank you, Gunter. You've had the World Cup. Ogundere's going to come in.
You can't pronounce his name right either. So.
Isaac Ogundere.
I used to say Ogundere, to be fair.
Ogundere.
For me, he's not a right back. He's a right wing back. So, and Gunter has made right back his own at the moment. He's been, I thought, okay. I thought he'd brilliant.
Agreed.
He's made it. Hold on. You just said he's made it his own because he's played okay.
He's played well.
Well, no, you just said okay.
Yeah,
True.
He played okay. He ain't done nothing wrong. He ain't done nothing great. He's a right back.
So what you're saying is we're picking him
whereas
because he's
Isaac,
okay. Whereas Isaac could be really good.
Yeah, but you said he could be.
Yeah, good. But
could be.
But this is Isaac's chance.
But this is where things stand now.
And I disagree.
It's an unpopular opinion. That's why we're doing it. Right, two more, and then I'm going to shut up.
Good point, at least, Danny.
Our problem at the moment, or has been at this season, is our experienced players again.
Agree. I think, yeah.
In certain aspects.
We lost Pierce early on, which I think was a blessing.
Our form got better without Pierce.
I actually think we're better now without Will.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Will?
Agreed
too.
Again, he's Lee Brown. It's hard to judge because I thought he was poor last season, to be fair, and he's been poor this year. Yeah, it's strange because we wanted the mix of experience with youth and
Brown's kind of fell off the face of the earth as of late.
Excuse me, the experience is stepping up. I've been very, very happy with Pell.
Yeah, in the last 4 games, he's kind of hit some form, hasn't he?
And I said I weren't overly happy when he signed but I think he's grown. He's grown up as a player.
I would also like to reference something they said earlier in this episode. They were arguing about whether or not once NYC comes back, who should he replace? Danny was on the side of taking Pell off and putting NYC on the right. I think they both agreed that NYC should be on the right, but they disagreed on who should come off. Danny was saying Pell, and Lee was saying Chiz. And I love Chislett to bits, but I think Harry Pell, I mean, they're both in decent form, right? But I think Pell fits the system a little bit more, and fits, maybe not the system, but the League Two. In League Two, you want to have people that can win knockdowns and that could, long balls forward, right? Pell has had a couple of beautiful assists. Not assists per se, because there was one moment where he headed the ball forward up and over the center backs and Davison blasted it with his left foot and the keeper saved it. That was against Salford. But then he had one in the FA Cup where he nodded it over a couple of players and Chislett was able to finish, right, for the third goal against Weymouth. Pell has been fantastic in terms of winning headers and creating chances out of nothing, right? If we can't ticky-tack our way around the defense, lump it forward to Davison or to Pell, and they'll do the rest. And I think Pell you need to keep. Chislett would be fantastic as an early second-half substitute if things aren't going our way.
Woodyard's had a really good couple of games, and if we can get Woodyard fully fit, then yeah, he could be decent.
I mean,
I can't believe I'm hearing that from his mouth.
Last one, we are in exactly the position that we should be in for the rest. In terms of our season, we should be 15th, and we're 15th.
I wouldn't say it was an unpopular
as a club, where we are.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was an unpopular opinion. I think it is what it is. That's why we're 15th.
Just interesting.
We're so inconsistent. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
That's it. We're inconsistent.
I think with the quality we have, we should be
really good. Next week
around
10th.
10th
really bad. And the
or 9th.
I don't think there's any middle ground.
Maybe 10th.
Other than people like Gunter, who I think get 6s and 7s.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We should be around 10th if things work out perfectly. 10th, 9th-ish. But the way we've performed inconsistent at times, 15th is deserved for us. But I don't think that's an unpopular opinion at all.
So it's very, very stable, isn't it?
And it's the same as Curry. Curry's like 7 pretty much every game.
Yeah.
Howler's pretty much 7, but then Paul Callum-Bay can be a 4 one week, he can be an 8.
100%.
People I've been disappointed with, again, is Marsh. I know he's been injured, but even when he was playing, I think we're better with him at the team at the moment. I don't see how he gets back in. Paris, unfortunately, started off 9-9-9. He's dropped to like 4 now every week. I think later on it was a 6 or 7 for me. Do you know what I mean? There's no scores on the doors here, but yeah, I think 6s or 7s. But yeah, I kind of agree. I think we are where we are.
If I were to think of one, I'm going to say Ayub Assal, championship quality player within the next 5 years. Maybe that's not too much of a hot take. especially considering the FA Cup have been posting about Ayoub Assal a few times, and people in the comment section are like, no, shut up, nothing to see here. He's trash, he's garbage. I could see Ayoub Assal in the championship in the next 5 years. Granted, that's if he matures, and that's if he learns when to release the ball. But I think he's fucking... I love this kid. He's not the best player for us on the season. I think that would probably have to go to NYC before his injury. He was on track to be that player. As things stand now, I'd say maybe Davison. But Assal, championship level in 5 years. Maybe not too much of an unpopular opinion. It would be unpopular if it were 3 years. But I'd say 5 years. Anyway, that wraps it up. Reaction to unpopular opinions from none other than Danny Baker and Lee Finch of the Wombles Had a Dream podcast. See you guys next time.